I know a lot of videos and podcasts have been made about the story of Lake City Quiet Pills. It's been analyzed, debated, and dissected from just about every angle you can imagine. But even with all that content out there, I still found myself with more questions than answers. Some of what's been said never quite added up for me. I struggled to believe it was all the work of one person staging an elaborate decade-long hoax. And the theory that this was some secret network of hired killers, well, that never sat right either. There were too many inconsistencies, too many missing pieces, so I started over. I went back through every archived post, every screenshot, every trace left behind by the people involved. What I found doesn't rewrite the story completely, but it does paint a clearer picture, one that feels grounded, human, and maybe even possible. To explain, I need to start at the beginning, so anyone new to the story gets the full picture of how it unfolded. So let's begin. On July 17th, 2009, a simple post appeared on the website Reddit. It was a short, quiet message announcing that a user known as Religion of Peace had passed away. No one knew it at the time, but this single, unremarkable obituary would become the starting point for one of the most bizarre and enduring mysteries in the history of the internet.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
The internet is an archive of forgotten things, a digital graveyard of abandoned profiles, dormant forums, and messages sent with no expectation of ever being read. Most of them stay buried, lost beneath the endless noise of the web. But every now and then, a single post, a kind of digital epitaph, can become the thread that unravels something much larger. Our story begins on July 17, 2009 on the social news site Reddit. A user known as u/2-6, or simply 26, posted a short, quiet message announcing the death of a friend. Another Redditor known as u/Religion of Peace. In the sprawling, chaotic world of early 2000s internet culture, a post like this would normally fade without notice. Just another brief flicker in the endless scroll of the web. But the post didn't simply fade away. For a small group of users, something about it felt off. Religion of Peace wasn't just another anonymous account. He was a recognizable, often controversial figure with a very distinct online personality. And 26, the user who posted the obituary, was a brand new account, created less than an hour earlier. That alone raised eyebrows. It's the kind of detail that on the internet often signals a hoax. Then there was the message itself. Odd spelling mistakes and strange phrasing. This combination, a well-known figure, a suspicious messenger, and a strangely written announcement, was enough to spark doubt. And that doubt was all it took to send a few curious users digging. What they uncovered wasn't just a memorial post, but the beginning of a digital rabbit hole. A trail of breadcrumbs that led from abrasive forum comments to a mysterious website, and from there to cryptic messages hinting at espionage, mercenary activity, and what some believe was a conspiracy tied to an international assassination. This is the story of Lake City Quiet Pills, one of the internet's most enduring and debated mysteries. A case where the line between hoax and reality became permanently blurred. To understand the mystery, you first have to understand the man at its center, or at least the persona he projected. Religion of Peace, who went by Milo, joined Reddit in 2007 and cultivated a very specific identity. By his own description, he was an old, gruff weirdo. His posts were laced with vulgar put-downs. He'd tell spammers to F off and die. He despised news outlets like MSNBC and CNN, and he'd unload on anyone offering technical advice he thought was wrong. This abrasive persona rested on a set of extraordinary, if inconsistent, life claims. He routinely said he was 79, born in 1930 on a farm in Pennsylvania. In a post marking the 65th anniversary of D-Day, he repeated that age, which would have made him 14 during the invasion. From there, he spun a sweeping military resume, enlisting at 14, riding a troop ship to Normandy, serving through the Cold War and staying in uniform until 1987. The effect was deliberate, a world-weary veteran's voice to bolster his authority online. When asked how he enlisted at 14, he responded with the following.
I was 5 feet 9 inches tall at the end of 6th grade. I worked hard and slept well. By the time I was 13, I was just shy of 6 feet. I worked a farm and worked in the feed and grain carrying sacks of grain. I was big enough and looked the part except for not needing to shave. The day I decided to run away, I put together some of my odds and ends in a satchel and then proceeded to shave to get the fuzz off. I got cut up some, but I'd seen men who had done worse. I hitched a ride to Philadelphia and enlisted. It didn't take a lot to pass the warm body physical. And hell, no one batted an eye if you said you didn't have a birth certificate or a driver's license. I was on a bus to Bainbridge, Maryland the next day.
On the claim that Milo enlisted at 14, my first reaction was that it couldn't be right. After looking into it, the picture is more nuanced. The U.S. military did have underage recruits during World War II, though not through the draft. The draft applied to men 18 and older. Recruiters sometimes accepted 17-year-olds with parental consent, and some minors slipped in illegally by lying about their age, falsifying documents, or using an older sibling's birth certificate. Could he have joined early by lying? It is possible. Is it likely? I doubt it. This image of an old soldier, a man born in the age of radio, was fundamentally at odds with his digital fluency. Far from being a technophobe, Milo was an active and knowledgeable participant in highly technical subreddits like r/programming. His comments revealed a clear, practical understanding of coding, computer science, and network infrastructure. He explained this away with a convenient bit of backstory. After retiring from the armed forces in 1987, he claimed he was broke and had taken a computer-related field job that was easier on his aging body. Another thing you should know about Milo is this. Along with his mix of old-world grit and new-world tech savvy, the third and most infamous facet of his online identity was that he was a moderator of the subreddit r/jailbait. For those who don't know, the jailbait subreddit was a notorious, now banned, subreddit dedicated to sharing compromising images of teenage girls. By all accounts, it was a cesspool, and Milo was one of its gatekeepers. He would often make crude comments like, "When you're 79, almost every girl is a young girl. Being old does not mean dead. I still enjoy a cute face and tight body," along with other, even worse statements. Milo made a lot of contradictory statements, but I'll get into that later. On May 18th, 2009, Milo posted, "I got tired of using commercial image hosts. I set up my own. You can use it if you want," linking to a site he owned, LakecityQuietPills.com. On the surface, it was a crude, unremarkable site with the slogan, "That old guy's image host." It primarily hosted pornographic images, which aligned with Milo's role as a moderator for r/jailbait. Milo promoted his image hosting site on Reddit whenever he got the chance. He pushed it across different, mostly adult-oriented subreddits. For the next 2 months, from May to July 2009, Milo keeps to his routine. He's a constant presence on Reddit, dropping his 2 cents across subreddits, lashing out at spammers with his signature vulgarity. And through it all, he keeps promoting his website. Then, on July 16th, 2009, in a random comment on a post about Navy SEALs, Milo plants a seed. He muses about the necessity of extrajudicial killings, about the things the legal system can't fix. He ends with a line that, at the time, felt like just another piece of his abrasive persona.
I can think of any number of criminal organizations that would benefit from a dose of Lake City quiet pills.
Then, at around 1 a.m. Central Time on July 17th, 2009, the user Religion of Peace, whom we've come to know as Milo, would make his last post on Reddit. And of course, he was complaining about spam. Man, he sure hated Reddit spam, I swear. Every other post he made was him fussing about spammers.
I reported a couple hundred obvious bullshit Reddits. Shit for roofers, lawyers, local businesses, and shit like that. Just those one-off that spammers make, thinking that we actually look at their postings. They're all still there. I'm getting very discouraged. Even after trading messages with admins about the spam situation, I don't think they really care all that much. Like this daily lawyer-attorney spam. I downmod and report every day, and the next morning, there's another round from the same spammers. The admins need some aggressive mods to ban domains and user accounts. It's getting really out of control.
That would be the last we'd ever hear from old Milo. At 1 p.m., exactly 12 hours from the last post Milo made, a new account was created. An account with the username U/2-6. 54 minutes after the account was made, 2-6 would make his first post on Reddit.
The end of Religion of Peace. He died today. I'm the person who provided Religion of Peace the space for that old guy's image host. Milo died today. He was 79 years old. He died at his desk looking at your site. Milo was a mean old fucker, mean and ornery. He hooked me up with my first gig when I got out of the army. I didn't like finding him like that. Milo don't have any living relatives and no real friends, and other than his landlady and a few people where he worked, he didn't talk to anyone about much of anything. Me, he just tolerated. As I said, he was mean. I think he used that as a shield to keep people away from him. Milo thought God was some kind of con game, thought up by some lazy sons of bitches who didn't want to work every day. So he's going into the fire on Monday without a service just like he wanted. I'm planning to dump his ashes in the woods in Pennsylvania near where he was born. Can't put them right there because there's a mall there now. I gave the girl next door his raggedy old cat and most of his books, his computers and tronic shit he tagged for the disabled vets and Vietnam veterans of America. All the rest of the stuff is for the Salvation Army. All those years and everything he owned fits in the trunk of my car. I don't know what else to say. I'll miss him. Miserable bastard.
The post by 2-6 was a strange and somber note. A personal eulogy that should have faded into the digital ether. But for reasons that remain unclear, it didn't. The story of the mean old bastard named Milo, who died at his desk looking at Reddit, captured the community's imagination. It gained traction, accumulating hundreds of upvotes, and soon found itself on the front page of the entire site. This sudden visibility transformed the announcement into a public spectacle. The hive mind of Reddit now aware of Milo's passing, began to dig. They weren't just curious about the man. They were intrigued by the strange website he'd left behind, LakeCityQuietPills.com. The website name itself was strange for an adult-oriented image host. It didn't hint at the site's content. It hinted at something else entirely. Sleuths combing through Milo's extensive post history found the comment he'd made. I can think of any number of criminal organizations that would benefit from a dose of Lake City Quiet Pills. The connection was immediate. A quick search revealed the existence of the Lake City Army ammunition plant, one of the largest producers of small arms ammunition for the United States Armed Forces. Quiet Pills, they realized, was a euphemism for bullets. The name of Milo's website wasn't a random string of words, it was a thinly veiled reference to murder. With this grim new context, the investigation intensified. They took a closer look at the website itself. If you examine the URL that Milo linked in his posts, you'll see he always pointed to what seemed like the main landing page of the website, lakecityquietpills.com/photo/multihost/index.php. But users who navigated directly to the website's root domain, lakecityquietpills.com, were met with a blank page, which is unusual, since most websites display some kind of content at the root URL. Since this wasn't normal, they decided to examine the page's source code. If you're unfamiliar, you can view a site's HTML by right-clicking anywhere on the web page and selecting View Page Source. That will display the full HTML behind the page. Looking at the HTML of the root URL lakecityquietpills.com, they found something far stranger than anyone could expect. Hidden within the code, invisible to the casual user, was a hidden message board. It wasn't just a few lines of text. It was a fully structured, if crude, communication system embedded within the very architecture of the site. To the average person, the page was a void, but to those who knew to look behind the curtain, it was a clandestine meeting point, a digital dead drop. The posts were short and to the point, packed with abbreviations and code words, like something out of a spy movie. And they weren't normal job ads. They were looking for people with very specific and frankly pretty alarming skills. One post from late June 2009 read, "Immediate need, 12 SA, Spanish speaking. No papers required, no records kept." A few days later, another appeared. 4 Italian/Spanish speakers. No Euro W/W, must be bondable. The wording sounded like military shorthand. SA was widely taken to mean South America. But the most debated bit was W/W. Some thought it meant wet work, a grim euphemism for murder. Others argued it stood for wants/warrants, as in no active arrest warrants in Europe. Either way, the message was clear. These weren't nightclub security gigs. Scrolling farther into the code, investigators found what looked like an admin note, a peek at how the group was organized. It introduced 2 new names, 2 new characters in this unfolding story. Shade, in charge of the calendar and access to the file dump, and Angel, who handled the job postings for Europe and Asia. The note issued a clear warning. We aren't sending anyone to ME, no one. Don't ask for listings. Most readers took ME to mean the Middle East, and then they found it. Hidden in that same source code was another eulogy for Milo, posted the very same day as the Reddit one, July 17, 2009. This version felt more personal, as if meant for insiders who already knew the players. It read, "I am sorry to tell you that old Milo died yesterday. He went quiet and calm, not like we all figured. I gave that fat mangy cat of his to the little girl next door. No services or nothing, you know, Milo. I'm taking his ashes back to where his farm was. Close to it anyway. There's a mall where his place was. So hoist a few for the old man. Remember what he said? Keep the faith with the man who's got your back. The discovery of this hidden board changed everything. This wasn't just a quirky Reddit user with a strange website. It was a window into a secret world. Coded language, shadowy figures named Shade and Angel, and job posts that hinted at a global network of operatives. That blank page wasn't a dead end, it was a locked door, and Reddit had just found the key. As investigators combed through the archived messages, a clearer story began to take shape, leading to a cluster of posts from late 2009 and early 2010. In November 2009, one message said that Milo's will had cleared probate and that he was surprisingly loaded, with payouts offered to operatives who had been sent out on jobs. The message was riddled with misspellings. Milo's will cleared probate. Surprise, Milo was loaded. Email Shade if we sent you out in 2005 through 2009. Shade will have checks cut for you. Amount is by how many times, not by pay total. Small share is $3,000 to $4,000. Then, on January 12, 2010, a new message appeared. It was an invitation. Happy New Year, everyone. We're having a birthday party for the old man on the 19th. Party starts at 1500 at the usual. Send your RSVP to Shade. FYI, we're booking a room for 3 days for anyone coming from out of the area and overnight for locals. Come hoist one for Dutch Milo. A follow-up message posted on January 18th, the day before the event, stripped away any pretense of an innocent celebration. It was a list of operational logistics, chilling in their specificity. We've got 38 rooms at the Marriott on 46. Shade has the key cards for locals. Pick up at the party. Give your travel name to the desk and that's it. No ID needed since we're covering the bill. Keep the room service under 500, okay? The phones there are not secure. Bus from the hotel leaves at 13:30. Car service vouchers for the return trip when you're ready to crash. Don't DUI. These were not the plans for a memorial service. They were the plans for a mission. On January 19th, 2010, the very day of Milo's scheduled party, the world's attention was drawn to a luxury hotel in the United Arab Emirates. Mahmoud al-Mabhouh, a senior commander and co-founder of the military wing of Hamas, was found dead in his room at the 5-star Al Bustan Ratana Hotel in Dubai. He had arrived in the country just a day earlier, traveling alone under an alias. What unfolded was a story of clinical, almost cinematic espionage. Dubai police released hours of security camera footage that meticulously documented the assassination plot. A team of more than 24 operatives, a mix of men and women, had entered the country using forged or stolen passports from the United Kingdom, Ireland, France, Germany, and Australia. The footage showed them in various disguises as they shadowed al-Mabhouh from the moment he landed. They tracked him to his hotel, booked a room directly across the hall, and waited for him to leave. While he was out, a member of the team gained access to his room and reprogrammed the electronic lock. When al-Mabhouh returned that evening, assassins were lying in wait inside. The official cause of death was determined to be suffocation, following an injection of a muscle relaxant. The entire operation was a masterpiece of tradecraft, and blame was immediately and widely placed on Israel's foreign intelligence agency, the Mossad. For the online sleuths tracking the Lake City Quiet Pill saga, the news out of Dubai was an earth-shattering revelation. The timeline was too perfect to be a coincidence. The party on the website was scheduled to begin at 1500 hours or 3 p.m. on January 19th. The assassination of al-Mabhouh took place around that exact time in Dubai. The theory became explosive and undeniable. The party was code for the assassination, and the hidden messages were the digital breadcrumbs of a real-world hit squad. On February 2nd, 2010, about 2 weeks after the assassination, a new message appeared on the hidden message board. Party bills. Here is the final for the party. Hotel rooms, 48,341. Limo, 6,080. Bus, 569. Bar bill, 18,890. Food, 8,030. Dancers, 8,300. Miscellaneous tips, 850. Miscellaneous expenses, 2,840. Medical supplies, 180. Fat Tommy and Stu are okay too. Total, 94,080. You all did Dutch Milo proud. Thanks. As the hive mind of Reddit descended upon the site, its hidden messages began to react to the newfound scrutiny. The plain English text that had once detailed job postings and party plans was suddenly replaced by strings of encrypted text, impenetrable ciphers. A digital cat-and-mouse game ensued. As amateur cryptographers attempted to break the codes, the messages would be wiped and replaced with new, more complex encryptions. It was as if the site's administrators were actively taunting their pursuers, demonstrating their ability to stay one step ahead. Finally, after several rounds of this cryptographic back and forth, the ultimate countermeasure was deployed. The entire website was taken offline. It vanished completely, leaving behind only the ghostly snapshots captured by the Internet Archive's Wayback Machine, and a mystery that was now seemingly unsolvable. Weeks later, a final piece of circumstantial evidence emerged that seemed to cement the connection. As international law enforcement agencies traced the financial trail of the assassins, they discovered that many of the suspects had used prepaid MasterCard credit cards to book flights and hotel rooms. These cards were issued by a financial institution named MetaBank, which was headquartered in a small city in Iowa, Storm Lake. The internet researchers themselves made the connection. Storm Lake, Iowa, is just a 50-minute drive from Lake City, Iowa, the apparent geographical namesake of the entire mysterious operation. And that's where the trail goes cold. No arrests to tie it all up, no confessions, just a cluster of clues, a hidden message board lost to time, and a name that still echoes across the internet: Lake City Quiet Pills. But our story does not end here. Now that you know how the story unfolded, we can take a closer look. In part 2, we will start digging deeper, pulling apart every detail, examining the patterns, the timelines, and the motives that might explain what really happened. Subscribe now and join us in part 2 as we dig deeper. Thank you for watching. Until next time, stay curious and stay safe.